There's a brand new Antoine Fuqua movie starring Mark Wahlberg on Paramount Plus. Is Infinite good? Hey everybody, it's Mark Wahlberg. Come watch my movie. No. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Infinite is now on Paramount Plus. I really didn't know this movie was coming out other than one trailer and a tiny bit of marketing, but we're going to talk about it nonetheless. I need you in the comments down below. Spoiler-free review. Is Infinite infinitely good? I've got to stop. So a troubled young man haunted by the memories of two past lives stumbles upon the centuries-old secret society of similar individuals and dares to join their ranks. And Evan, our main character played by Mark Wahlberg, he has skills that he really didn't learn. He has memories of places that he's never visited, and all of these things are haunting him. He's also on the brink of a mental breakdown when we first visit him in this film because he doesn't really know what is going on. So once he finds out that this secret group is seeking him, calling themselves the Infinites, they reveal that his memories are actually real, but they're not something that he's conjuring. They are coming from his past lives. So they're bringing him into this world along the same lines of, what happens to Neo in The Matrix, but very different circumstances. And he's trying to unlock these memories, but at the same time, a character played by Chiwetel Ejiofor is seeking to end all life and stop what he sees as a curse, because he is also living on this endless cycle of reincarnation. So just all of those plot points kind of coming together into one film directed by Antoine Fuqua. It's really interesting. I loved the concept, and I loved the idea of this man living lives over and over. Not necessarily what we're seeing with these time loop movies, very different than Palm Springs or Boss Level, because instead of living the same day over and over, reincarnation is the concept here, and he has to be born again and all of those crazy things. So whenever he dies, it takes him a while to get back to that point. And I didn't really know which direction they were going to go. I didn't know if we were going to stick with Mark Wahlberg throughout most of the film, which is exactly what happens. So we're really with him in this life, or if we were going to kind of go into different lives and maybe revisit some of those things that we're learning about his past. And there is a bit of that in there. At the beginning, we see Dylan O'Brien in this movie. I don't know why he's second bill here, because he's barely in the film. It really is more Chiwetel Ejiofor. Jason Mantzoukas is in this movie. Sophie Cookson and Mark Wahlberg. They're kind of the stars. We also have Toby Jones. Rupert Friend is in this film. So really good cast, great director, love Mark Wahlberg, really good concept. It seems like it's a positive review up until this point, until you actually start getting into the execution of this movie and how unmemorable the actual film is. And a lot of that comes down to the execution, which is fairly shocking because I love Fuqua as a director, and anytime he directs a movie, not in this vein, this is more of a sci-fi-esque movie, but in general, the way he handles action, I believe, is really good. The action here is fine. It's a combination of things we've seen before, from samurai swords to car chases to gun-on-gun action. It's really just, it's a lot implemented here, and it would mean a lot more if we had compelling characters, and Mark Wahlberg does a good job in this movie, but everything is so jumbled when it comes to what the actual goal is. We don't really get a good idea as to what the growth of his character is when we hit that third act. And the third act is such a jumbled mess in terms of what our characters are trying to do. There's an egg. You have Ejiofor's goal of, destroying all life as we know it, but the stakes don't feel that high because we're really focused on finding this one thing, and I was really hoping they would refrain from that in this film. There's always something. It's the rabbit's foot. In this case, it's the egg, and it's this very important element that almost feels forgotten when we get into the heavy action scenes that just feel by the numbers, but they're lacking personality at the same time. I really enjoyed the set pieces here. The practical effects are good. The CGI is okay, but it's just this big jumbled mess when it comes to the plot, and not one plot point stands out as important when we reach the end of the movie, because once we get there, and after I checked out a few times because I just became uninterested by the repetitive action set pieces that really don't mean a lot at the end of the day, I saw exactly where it was going, and I could have almost written out where we were going to end up at the end of the day, and that's where we ended up. And then once you sit on the film, I have a feeling I'll forget about a lot of it at the end of the day, but you start getting into the actual plot and the reincarnation aspect and what the goal of Ejiofor's character really was. All of this starts to kind of crumble underneath itself and become more of an incompetent script than I even thought it was while watching. And, you know, we've heard the term before. It's something that I used to say all the time in high school. I would study for a quiz and know I would never need that information again. So I would always say, I'm just going to kind of dump truck this out of my head and not really remember it after this quiz is over. And that's kind of how this movie is. Like, there is fun to be had while you're watching because of the action set pieces and because of the compelling cast. For the most part, a couple performances that I didn't love. But at the end of the day, once the movie is over and you've checked out a few times while watching, it's one of those you just kind of dump truck out of your brain. And it's been a couple hours since I've watched, and I really don't remember too much, and that's not a good sign. And now that I'm thinking about it, there is a reason they didn't market this movie heavily at all, and they literally just dumped it onto a streaming service and barely told anyone. I mean, Paramount Plus is going to market it because it's one of their first original movies, but otherwise, Antoine, fuqua, Mark Wahlberg, you know, it's just a very unmemorable movie with a plot that we've seen shades of before, but all of those things combined, we've never seen something like this in a film, and then we get just a very cliched, easy-to-predict storyline that is uninteresting. And the characters, I think this is the biggest criticism I have, the characters were not compelling at all. They all fit into those tropes, and when you have a movie like that, well, you're not going to remember that much about it. So before I give you guys my score, thanks so much for watching. If you like these Paramount Plus reviews, I'd love to do more, like the brand new iCarly. Infinite is an easy watch, but the predictable plot and forgettable script come together to create an unmemorable experience, unfortunately, and I'm going to go 42% with my score. Again, it's not all bad. The action was fun, and there's a lot of it, but there's just not much there in terms of the plot. And when you have a concept so interesting and you can't really keep my attention throughout the entire movie, a very quick film, then it's just not really a movie that I'm going to watch again at the end of the day. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Did you have a fun time watching this? Whether you did or did not, I'd love to see your comments down below. And stay tuned. I'm watching Love Victor Season 2, and I'm bringing you guys a review later today. All right, I'll see you later.